Roll call, Mayor Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Iyer. Here. Councilmember Briggs. Here. Councilmember Watson absent. Councilmember Medina absent. We have four.
Motion please to move the agenda. Moved by Ray Fire. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? The agenda is approved. Motion please to approve the minutes. Moved by Arbor Briggs. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you.
Mayor, we have carryover from the last meeting we had, whenever that was. But we have our new director of communications here, Steve Pilar. I don't know who's met him and who hasn't. He's been here for a month. It's in November. So he's felt right in. Maybe we could give him an opportunity to make a few comments about himself, his background, and then there's an item on the agenda dealing with the council contact information that we go on and Josh. I was thinking of something else to call you. They're here to talk about that, so
It's nice to meet those of you who haven't met already in person. Steve, I started in November. I've had a great time so far meeting communication staff, meeting all. Really fortunate as a city to have kind of wonderful experience with the communication staff, both at CTN here at City Hall. Yeah, just a little bit about me. I'm from Michigan originally, grew up in the Midlands. I went to law school here in Arbor about 20 years ago. So familiar with the city. In fact, I'm living back in the same apartment complex I was living in then. So temporarily, but loving it. It's very nostalgic for me. And most recently, I'm coming from 13 years in Arizona, where I was most recently Associate Director of News for the Arizona Republic, which is the biggest news organization in the state.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Thanks.
what would you all like to get into the topic? Just Mariah, you've been working with staff. You want to tee up what you've been doing?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we've got a quick PowerPoint for you to help. Can we start with good news too? I shared with the team, I went for like a quick lunch over at the filling station and I forgot my purse. I didn't realize that. I walked back, which is only like a 4-minute walk. And the filling station was calling my phone to tell me that my purse was left. So my life almost got turned upside down. But like how incredible to have such quick responsive people in 4 minutes in Ann Arbor in a restaurant, in the middle of a restaurant and lunch hour to call and tell. I don't even know how they got my phone number. That it's not in my purse. And in 4 minutes. So shout out to the filling station and staff and the community. Could have been love that. Good news, right? On a Tuesday. So we created a presentation to go over, we call them OPs now. Like, what? We created an acronym to get a little bit of excitement, some opportunities for improvement surrounding council communications, highlighting it's been kind of an ongoing conversation over the last few months. And regarding the outreach we've heard, we kind of generalized some of that in terms of how we can improve constituents that are reaching out, sharing information, but also offer the opportunity for that information and ways and means to contact be individualized, while also not ignoring kind of our core values in ensuring accessibility and the security of our network. So first, the biggest thing is creating a page, and again, these are presented as options. We want it to be, council's designation into what works for council and constituent communications. And so these are kind of, we've gone through several communities in terms of what those structures look like. And most communities do offer individualized pages for elected members of the body. And so we currently have, mayor has a page with designation, but it does not have the detailed biography and other details that we'll provide that can be added. But there's an option that we could create individualized pages for council members, and add a biography, a preferred contact method. There are options that we have examples where we could provide links toward newsletters and committee assignments, just so that there's an ease and flow of information on one page to reduce the amount of clicks to receive that information. Here are some examples which are kind of small on, but I presumed it was going to be larger on the screen. But on Brian, you'll see he has, like, on the bottom left-hand side here, you can sign up for a newsletter. He prefers to be contacted by phone, so that is available here. There is a form button here as well that he's okay with being listed. You see the difference here. It's not as apparent between the two. Well, those are two council members on the same board. But he does not have a phone number prominent on his page. And there can also be detail that we've seen in some of the messaging as well, detailing if there is a preferred contact method or ways to contact. This is another example where it also, I know we've heard that some of the outreach that's received are general inquiries for city services. And so this is an example of kind of reiterating, if you are getting a significant amount of outreach for that, maybe it's an A2 Fix-It link or something specific to your ward, that would be resourceful. Committee assignments, these are some examples from different communities where we list the boards and committees that council members are assigned to, in the event that the public would like to know, where council members are involved or active. If they're taking meetings with you or inviting you, maybe they'd like to know the areas that you're involved on the separate subcommittees. Resident contacts. So we as in IT, the incredible and heroic effort in creating this form and the many adjustments that have come with it. We've talked about ways that we can also implement improvements here, and that could be adding an option for attachments. So if there's a flyer for an invite, so IT can kind of narrow down what type of attachments for security purposes can be attached. So if there is a flyer for an event, that could be added to the form. And then also adding award selections. We've heard that sometimes there's outreach and constituents or new constituents aren't familiar with their specific ward at the time. And so sometimes we could add something where they have to select the ward, which we also get into next in terms of a map and assisting it. So we have heard that as well in terms of let's be proactive in ensuring we have resources available for those that would like to identify. And sometimes it's outreach from, someone connected to a constituent that may not know their ward or that would like to provide feedback. And so it's helpful to provide if it's not readily known. So this is already a map that IT has created connected to elections. And this could be made prominent, whether it be on the main page when constituents are initially on that council page, or it could also be added as an example to individual pages. So the councilwoman on the left, that is her actual page with biography term. We could add the boards and commissions and then a district map to show what ward that council member would cover. On the right-hand side, you see at the very bottom of the initial bio page, just a general link to find your board member. The contact form, we've heard that the creation of it and kind of what the adjustment has been didn't allow it to be prominent. So this was a structure on the main page that we could create where you could click on Mayor Kirk Watson and go to his biography, or you could click send an email to the mayor, and that form would pop up and allow you to complete and send a direct communication. And then some additional support. One of the things we've also heard is trying to find a way to support incoming messages and filter messages that are coming in from internal staff. So maybe planning and the increased outreach from planning during the comprehensive land use plan versus external messages. And we have ways that you can create or you can add rules into your Outlook folder. And so you can create a folder that directly with anything A2 Gov goes directly into one folder, and then anything else goes into another. And that would filter all of your staff emails, and anything internal to the city would filter into one, and then everything else into another. So IT is open to supporting anyone on council that would like some support in creating those, because sometimes they can be tricky, just for additional support. And then we also have heard concern over the all city council emails being prominent or being utilized and pulled into, some of the spam box that pull anything with an email address on it and kind of funneling emails out. And so there are options to edit, but could also be utilized as a phased approach. So we can implement changes to the page and the outreach, and then hear back from council in terms of what that engagement looks like, and if more measures are needed, or if an adjustment to that email is needed. And then we kind of leave it up to hear back in terms of what we've gone out and found, and how we should move forward from this meeting to assist and implement changes. Team, you guys have anything?
Did you reach out?
I think it was outstanding. I mean, all the recommendations, the research you've done on this, seems like you've been able to balance a variety of different perspectives and sort of desires of this process. So kudos for doing that. And all while like increasing the information that sort of residents can find out about how to get involved in engagement in the state, but also I think balancing the concerns that I've heard of over around the field. So I'm not sure it's there were some different options presented on different pages. And I think increasing people's access to understanding what boards they're in, the dynamic map that we have currently, I find still a little funky to figure out around the edges. So I'm not able to know whether I think that's something that actually could be improved from an election standpoint as well. But whether that's that highlighted portion of the board or, something like that, I think that's helpful to residents. The ability to contact multiple council members at once is a nice thing. If you're trying to contact both council members to serve on Parks Commission at the same time, that's two conversations. That's a nice feature. So, if there's any other specific feedback you were looking for on
I think, under that optional, I think two or three things. Under the optional piece for, newsletters, we've had the talk before. Obviously, there's a line between political and just normal constituent services. I was wondering if we could maybe get around some of those concerns, because I think almost everyone, actually everyone who maintains a newsletter right now, they're doing it through their campaign because the city doesn't have a council newsletter functionality. But I wonder if we could have the link to the ward newsletter, and then perhaps there could be like a little pop-up that says like alert, you're leaving, those classic alerts that say like you're leaving the city and Ann Arbor government web page, what you see after this is endorsed by the city or something, to be able to like both have that for the functionality and also not worry someone when they do get my newsletter and at the bottom it says, paid for by. It might be better just to stay out of the newsletter business, but I just wanted to sort of bring that up. Is that maybe the attorney can say absolutely not?
I actually had a question, maybe I misunderstood. I thought that was referring to the two newsletters that we do send out, but maybe I misunderstood.
Like a PDF?
Or like the ones we send from the city
Yeah.
now, right?
Right, but a digital copy. Okay, that makes sense.
I know communications keeps it, so it certainly could be that. I believe this one may be like an external that you can sign up for ward communications.
That was my, I will say, that was my starting point. Probably.
I think we need to talk about that. Yeah.
My
Definitely
Making those city ones available though. I think
yes.
yes.
it's a must.
And then my, the
second piece was, around, is it possible, since I have IT in the room, is it possible to to integrate the ward map with a more, I guess, familiar feature like, Google Maps or something, or is the city not able to really?
So our mapping standard, and it's actually the standard throughout most large organizations, is actually Esri, which is what this is built off of. So that tends to be what we gravitate to. So we certainly could do it, but we like to stick with what we know and what we develop. They're essentially just shape files that the GUI sits over the top of these shape files. So the means by which we deliver it, we could certainly change if that was something of importance to you, but Esri is our standard. So.
Yeah, it might be just simple things like Zoom or how it works on mobile. I think mobile is probably big because, often people are on the go trying to tell the precinct or whatever.
Right.
So
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Esri does have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. All of the features that you see on the Google Maps available in Esri, we turn them on and off depending on what we think is most important for the functionality of the web on the map that we're seeing. So we certainly could add things like that.
Okay, and then on the issue of the rules. I was thinking one thing that might be helpful is if IT could maybe send us a list of like suggested rules of like, maybe these are the ones we think almost everyone should have. And then, just because I think for people who aren't like familiar with Outlook, just knowing like, this should be sort of the standard if you wanna, the best practices are kind of cleaning stuff up and, that's obviously everyone's kind of preference, but maybe just kind of a recommendation, maybe. I don't know if that's, just for especially maybe when people are coming on as new council members, because I think now we kind of do that thing of it, but.
Yeah, we can try to throw something together. Absolutely appreciate it.
Can the scheduled person go on our website or somewhere and just type in their address and that's how someone their ward is?
Do this now.
Through this map, so I can like type in my address and tell me what my ward is.
As Councilmember Briggs said, it's not as clear as it could be. But it does, it will do that.
Maybe we just need to make that moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just some personal feedback from having a new user to it. And I'd love to know if this is the same thing you're thinking. I would like for it to say, you put in an address, this property is in Ward 4, your, precinct for voting is.
And your council member
is. Yeah, so we're doing that, which I think is definitely achievable with the answer set.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we
that
can
would be
look into doing that.
So how do we move to next steps then? There seems to be, we had a conversation, obviously I feel very positive about this. Generally, this committee seems to be positive, so what's next?
Given the flexibility that the staff is offering each person, we could do one communication to all 11 people, asking them to identify their preferences and communicate it back directly to the line. That way, staff knows you want your phone number, you don't want it. It's like your menu. Does that work for you all? If they did that, then they could work on setting up how.
We'll also be asking, since you each have individual pages, we'll be asking for whatever biographical information that you would want on those pages.
Great, like a word on that page.
Yeah.
Words.
No way to profile. I went to grade school.
There are two other points of consensus, though, I think that we're looking for as well, which are the form. Do we want to continue moving forward with a form? I see a lot of heads nodding about that, but that's something that we will be looking for some, direction on. And how you want to move forward with the all counseling. The way I see it, there's two things that you can do with the all counseling process. You can let it continue in its current form, right? But take it off of the website. Not as many people will use it, right? But it will still be around for, those people who have it, right, already, and maybe they've already used it to add them viewed in newsletters or things like that. But it's useful drop off. But, or we can eliminate it.
So, forms, yes. I see the initial rollout of forms as just like the first step. I think there's a lot that we can do with forms moving forward. The fact that they dump into a database that will allow us to track issues over time, access, even pass on to the next council member. There's for staff to access easily to see, issues that are arising in various areas of the city. I just think there's a lot we can do with that. So I think forms are essential. I think replacing the all council email with a form publicly would be a great move. I think, maybe that's the first step, and we see if that helps reduce the spam issue. And if it still continues, to be a problem just because it's out there, in the ether, and it's been out there for so long, then maybe we can look at eliminating it altogether. But that's sort of my gut.
Do you have the ability to terminate it, but have an automatic reply to direct
Sure.
to the all
Yeah.
council form?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My eyes, without having thought about it more, that seems a reasonable.
We could say some kind of message like this mailbox is no longer being monitored for continued communication. Please see the following.
To our council, yeah.
Contact everybody.
Yep, we could absolutely do that.
I'd be fine with
And
it.
work with legal.
If others are, yeah,
It's a good.
yeah.
I think, you kind of talked about the additional functionality on forms in terms of just being able to do more within them. I think that's kind of addressed some of the concerns that I have with initially with the form. Trying to. We're just gonna make sure that when you're still scanning your email, you're actually able to kind of see what the message is about, and, something similar, and where it ended up. You can see where it was from, because it's the form piece, but, more functionality we have there, the better, and for the residents have the ability to,
I think part of
forms.
there's a little bit of overhead lift on the forms because it's sent from an auto mailer from inside of the city, one of our servers. So it's not as easy as clicking reply. You have to physically copy the email out of the person who submitted it to reply or to respond. That's, I think, one of the primary drawbacks of the form feature is it's not quite as intuitive as just saying reply and then, moving on with your day. You physically have to pull the address out into your mail client, know what compose your thoughts, whether you copy in the context of their mail or not, for their message. So there is a little bit more overhead on the form side of things, certainly.
You can get over that. We do it more. I've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay, that was right. But it's more just the resident perspective. So just making sure that we're trying to give people a lot of notes. You can get a sense of like, okay, I've got, anything else coming in about the subject or,
One thing that came to mind was, the e-comment feature that's, I think, maintained by the clerk's office. A lot of weeks, we don't have any e-comment. Some weeks, it's really in the single digits. I was wondering if that could maybe be I don't want to overcomplicate things, but I do wonder if that can be integrated in the form, at least giving people a link to that or in other ways, you know, because I think the city council at that A2 is used mostly for, really, one of the big things it's used for is kind of issue advocacy. And so if we could just put people right into e-comment, which already has its kind of, you know, it goes with the agenda, there's other uses for it, and at least to plug it, but more importantly, I think maybe to get those people off of the city council and into e-comment, just so they know they can definitely still advocate, you know.
I'll look and see if we can drill directly into a specific agenda, because they're always agenda driven, right? So I'll look and see if we did that, my guess would be we would want the next upcoming agenda as opposed to anything from the past or the future. So I'll see what we can do from that perspective.
Yeah, I'm not sure I totally agree with that statement. The only reason I say that is because I mean, I know that folks, all that ends up in a public facing way. I don't know that everybody, you know, they should realize that, you know, their council members, that could end up on the front page, but I don't know that they're always expecting that is like as public of a message. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, perhaps I was thinking of it.
Maybe if they
like,
did, they did my phrasing slightly differently, that might be
Well,
better.
I was thinking more like, maybe just more advertising,
Yeah,
because we really don't get many.
Yeah.
That's a good, so maybe just like,
Yeah.
saying.
yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Just so you know, you have this option.
Yeah.
So just to be clear about what the option is, that's a good point.
On the form then, do I hear that there's not there's not an easy reply option?
That's correct. So basically, the form comes into a list, and then you can select your columns, you can sort. So from that perspective, it's very powerful in the way that you manipulate the data that's presented. The problem is, if I send you a note and you want to particularly reply to me, you would physically have to copy my email out. Now, what we could do is we could make that link, my email address, a link. So when you clicked on it, it would open up your mail client, but it wouldn't consume the content of the message that I delivered to you because it's in a different format. So you would then have to take the extra step of saying, I heard this message that you presented, you know, good stuff here, not so good here, and then send it off. So we could make it a little bit easier and eliminate one of the steps where you physically have to copy the email address, but the content of the message in whatever way you would like to respond to it would have to be ported over, copy and paste. There's really no good way to do that. But that is the downside of the form. There's lots of upside to it with the way that you can manipulate the data and you know, it persists and that kind of stuff. So
Is this all existing within the Outlook client, or is there
the form is actually a Cognito form. It's completely separate. It's a completely separate entity from Outlook.
So, right, but for us to access the emails?
They'll get an email.
You get an email that something came in and then you would click on it. Same as yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. But the problem is, even if you reply to that email, you're replying to the system server and not to the person who responded, because we're sending email. It's an auto-generated email from our servers. So when you click, if you're not thinking and you click reply, it'll reply to a no reply at a2.org.
Staff's done all of the lead work, so I guess my comment would be, I would encourage us, because we are still a single organization, that there to be 5 or 6 elements that are standard on a council page, regardless of who it is. Picture, name, how to access, bio, and then the option stuff is below the standard 6. I'm just making up that number. Because if it's variation all over the place, it's almost like a single organization that has 15 different business cards. You can't even really tell it's connected because everybody's doing their own thing. And from an outside perspective, when someone in Colorado accesses Ann Arbor's webpage, or even somebody in the region, there does need to be enough consistency that it's easy to tell, okay, the basic information is this. And then if I want to get beyond that on an elected official or whatever, here, whatever the optional things are that they're adding, does that make sense? So it's not just anybody can do whatever, and it's 11 different versions. To me, that's a problem. Because we're still the city government. And I should easily be able to tell that the council member is the ward, this is how I can get to them. And newsletter, whatever comes after that. So I don't know what the 5 or 6 standard things would be. You all can certainly determine that. But to me, that's manageable. And my encouragement is always to do not initiate something that cannot be managed.
I think we're all in agreement about that. It's, I didn't mean to project anything other.
Yes, okay.
It would be very standard, yeah.
Awesome, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
The administrator's update.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everybody. I've got 4 or 5 things just to get through. First, I'll start with the fire station number 4. You're aware of the setback we had to work through. We are now expecting substantial completion on September the 8th of 2026. The contractual completion date is still August the 7th, so that did not change. We've had meetings with the contractor, Granger. They've accepted full responsibility for the mispouring of the foundation and have taken every step we've asked for to make it right. Beyond August 7th, the liquidated damages element kicks in. And so hopefully we can get to substantial completion by September the 8th. 350 South 5th. You may be aware that there was a consultant's finding that that project posed, in their words, an adverse impact on the historic district that's adjacent to the parcel. There is a process that you have to work through to get that resolved. We are in the process of doing that. There's been a number of meetings about it. We expect to have a mitigation plan completed probably by tomorrow. And if the consultant signs off, then we think we'll be good with SHPO, and then that project can kind of move on. Chief Anderson and I co-penned a letter to a number of community organizations who had written about safety concerns. We laid out a sort of a comprehensive strategy that we're taking that is not just police focused, but we talked about the work we're doing on our response. We talked about the Baller project that the DDA is going to do. It's going to make downtown events safer. We talked about ongoing communication with city government, particularly with the police department. Those letters have been very well received by the audiences that we sent them to, and there has been ongoing communication with various groups since, and there will be ongoing communication sort of moving forward. Right now, we're projecting to be able to bring council a purchase agreement on the Klein lot, we hope in March. The 415 West Washington is a little bit behind that, so it's probably going to take another couple of months beyond that. Topographical surveys is being done right now in 415. That's a more complicated site because of the location. So we're just trying to be meticulous with that. We've been working for months with the development across the street for the hotel. Right now, they're projecting to open sometime in February. And hopefully, we can get to that and they can cut a ribbon and start taking in guests. There's some bigger picture communication they want to do with, particularly with fire, on how we inspect properties and the standards we have. And so we've agreed to the ongoing communication beyond the opening of the hotel. And they seem pleased with that. Mariah and Sarah and a few others are working on the Kozichenko statue project. The Art Center was here yesterday. Staff went at the front, I took measurements. They're looking on all the weeds associated with that. The sort of coming attractions or the sort of sequencing of what's going to happen. A RFQ will be sent out that will help us bring the artists forward. And then we'll know how much the particular artist will actually charge to make the statue. And then we'll know how much money has to actually be raised in order to do it. We have been keeping Kathy apprised of where we are. She hasn't provided any feedback, so we figure no news is good news. Let's see. I think that's it. Oh, just. But so I'm working now towards year 5 next October. This is the first year where I don't have to hire anybody. The sleep is fairly all hired. So I get a whole lot of time back as we don't have to recruit anybody else. We tell everybody you can't quit. Now that we're all here together. So that's it.
Can we share a copy of that letter that went out? Right, that letter you sent out to Chief Anderson? With just
Yeah, can you send to?
give me a synopsis of what we're doing.
Yeah, that'll be useful for people to hear and see. We obviously get a lot of communication from various people, and it's good for us to know what's going on.
Anecdotally, I can tell you that some of the people that were speaking the most loudly to us were very appreciative, seeing the details.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chief Anderson is, you know, he has a way with people. He was able to tell them in a nice way, we're not just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. They accepted that from him.
All right. So, excellent.
Yeah.
Please.
I actually have a request from staff, at least a couple of council members, that I think the committee, you guys might have seen, if you saw your email, there was a memo that went out about, kind of following up from the last work session about the Ann Arbor Community Foundation housing study. It was put together by planning staff over the break. And so Councilmember Dish and I met with Derek Delacourt and Brett Leonard to talk about, you know, areas where the comprehensive plan is in alignment with the Community Foundation study. And I guess the outcome of that meeting was a thought that perhaps Administrator Mahoney and one of those staffers, Mr. Leonard or Mr. Delacourt, or both, could meet with the two members of the Community Foundation who've taken the lead on the study and just kind of talk about where the city's coming from. And yeah, that memo sort of is kind of a guide, but I just want to put that out there as sort of a follow-up to the last message. If that makes sense.
When did that memo come
Just was from CM Dish.
Do you anticipate revisions or responses of kind, or just?
No,
Just
this is just,
public,
yes,
they should know.
they should know, here's the work, so we can, because from what at least from what was communicated to me, there wasn't a lot of communication with city staff during the start. There was at least a little bit, but it was sort of advising that they're doing it at the, there was kind of feedback at the end, but not as much up front. And so if the staff would be appreciative of, at least, those two staff should be appreciative of the chance to talk a little more and see what happens.
Super.
Yeah.
Anything else? On Klein Farm, have we continued to engage with, folks Main Street,
Yes,
or in particular?
yes, Main Street, ARC, DDA, that's kind of part of the process. So it's been good communication, good dialogue, and I'm happy to say there has not been any unrealistic requests made. We were clear from the very beginning when we've had those meetings. We cannot promise anyone there's going to be 140 public parking spaces just like there is now. That's not likely to be what it is. Folks have accepted that because they've heard presentations. They're simply asking, can there be some public parking? We've not discussed a number because, we've got to get into design and all that. The intent is to have some level of public parking. It'll just be far short of 140. And we are also trying to work out a solution for where the arts performers can park their RVs. Probably not right outside the building that gets built, but somewhere close, so they wouldn't have to go very far. And they have welcomed that kind of dialogue. So we followed through on what we said and made Hines aware of the issues right at the very beginning. At some point, we expect Hines will actually go to a Main Street meeting and talk with folks. I have encouraged Main Street leadership to invite Hines to become part of the association. They're going to be your neighbors. Going to have the two towers, and they want to do that. So it seems to be going well.
Understand that we believe that we've communicated look, we think we're on the track to find, for example, RV parking for art. Do we think that they think that?
I mean, they act like they understand what we're saying. They've been pleased with the city's posture.
Okay.
We met with the ARC leadership before we even had our first meeting with Hines. And we have shared with Hines from the very beginning what the issues were. Hines' normal style of how they do things when they go into a city, they welcome interacting with Main Street, with the ARC, with the DDA. That's just all part and parcel of how they do it. I think the community groups understand it's sequencing to when the conversations really get serious. They understand we don't even have a purchase agreement yet. So we got to get that done first to ensure there's even going to be a sale. And so that's why I said March. We got to get ink on paper and then get on all the details. But we've got nothing but positive feedback from the folks that have been in dialogue.
I presume that maybe communication would come on this, but also I can imagine a desire to, the difficulty in communicating this, for the Arbor Art Center. Obviously that functions like functions as an educational space, and there's essentially daycare there throughout the entire summer months, a lot of pickup drop off for kids, classes going on throughout there. And I hope that's something that's just maybe a a known activity that's happening. Just aware of. Just making sure. I think she probably, but it's a tricky space for her to make. So,
And I don't
I
know.
think she probably communicated, but you know.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
We don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah.
But we're aware of it.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. Ms. Cole?
Just a very brief update, because this may not be visible to council. But at the December planning session, Ms. Lenski stated that her aim is to take the SEU to have some functional clients to sign up for the SEU by the fall. What that means is a lot of legal work now. So I just wanted to let you know that in case you're wondering why everyone is so busy, but it's taking real estate expertise, environmental expertise, litigation expertise. Almost everybody in the office is involved in some ways in helping her through the early stages of getting template contracts, environmental assessments, and the design, and it's not readily apparent, so I just thought I'd let you know that that's happening. But other than that, no update.
Any questions? Great. So calendar.
I think Mr. Devon informed you that he has a request to remove the February 9th work session from the council calendar. If you have no further concerns, I can put a motion or a resolution to amend the calendar on our January 20th meeting, so we're transparent. I'll let Jackie know that it may be.
Any questions here? Unfinished business.
Representatives from MGT on the line, they conducted the city administrator's process. If you have any questions or anything, they're here to answer. Charlene Stevens is the primary, and Ashley X is.
Oh, good afternoon.
Hey there.
We thought we would just maybe walk you through kind of a summary of the survey. Ashley will start just kind of the process, and then I'll summarize the findings if that works for you.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, Ashley, go ahead.
Great. Well, I hope 2026 is off to a good start for all of you. As you know, we disseminated the city administrators evaluation survey back on Friday, December 12th. So just almost exactly a month ago. I then sent 2 follow-up emails, one of which contained information regarding a deadline extension for the council. The original deadline was December 30th. We extended that through January 2nd to help accommodate a number of busy schedules over the holiday period. Director Higgins also kindly sent a couple of email reminders as well to the group. And then, of course, we had automated reminders through our service coming from MGT every 5 days to individuals who still had yet to respond to that survey. And so throughout the course of that process, we learned there were a few instances where the survey email from MGT was either caught in the city's spam filter or went to the other folder email group in Outlook. And so we, worked to address those issues as they were reported to us, but we appreciated everybody's patience as we worked through that. And there was only really a very small number of those instances. And so overall, we're very pleased to report that we received a very hearty response to this survey, and we were very comfortable with the completion rate, both in participation as well as the depth of the written feedback. That level of engagement is important because it helps to strengthen the credibility of the results, as well as give the city administrator, clearer feedback. And so I will turn to Charlene to share those results with you.
Yeah, and of course you have some written information and you have kind of a summary of each survey, kind of the averages and the ratings. We did average the ratings for each. And so, I mean, I think you should be pleased. Of course, the city administrators, there is obviously from the survey, at least from our interpretation of the data, a high level of confidence in the city administrator. The average was about a 4.4 out of a scale of 5, and on a scale of 5, the rating was strongly agree, and 4 was agree. And so there seems to be a strong concurrence with where and what the city administrator is doing. I'll kind of highlight, I think, summarize some of the strengths that really kind of came out through the survey in terms of the themes. Is really was a lot of strong and positive feedback on the managers, on the city administrator's management style. It's inclusive, it's collaborative, innovative, supports team members, collaborates with team members, high level of integrity and a high level of professionalism. And that came through very clearly. Also really broad consensus around kind of the administrator's strong financial background and financial skills, really positioning the city well in long-term kind of financial planning with the city as well. And but then even, areas where there were comments and opportunities kind of for refinement, that's exactly what they are. That's what they were, is there were not negatives, or there were opportunities for refinement, and a couple of those came in kind of areas of with staff just developing a more regular, maybe perhaps coaching cadence and making clear kind of how accountability is across the organization. And it wasn't that there's a lack of accountability. It might be a variability in the visibility of accountability, as I said in the report. And so, again, not a negative or any concerns as well. And then there were a couple of areas in terms of, particularly with the mayor and council feedback, kind of some service areas and some idea and some desire to have maybe more visibility into some customer service areas, some specific programs that were noted, Vision Zero, See, Click, Fix, and wanting additional information on where those services or where those programs aren't performing as well. But again, overall, really broad consensus, I think, and really positive that the city administrator is leading the organization in a positive direction, and high level of professionalism, and the city's positioned well with his leadership. And happy to answer questions and regarding the report, the survey, anything of that nature.
Survey questions?
Just a comment. I appreciated the format and both of the survey and the follow-up and format that is coming to us today. So thank you.
Thank you. And we appreciate your patience as we work through kind of spam filters and some of those glitches and different places that it ends up. And Sarah was, I want to call out Sarah Higgins too for her help and helping us kind of find some of those glitches too.
Anything else?
I'm good. First outing with this.
Just, echoing Councilmember Race, thank you very much. From my perspective, obviously it, well, maybe not obviously, from my perspective, it, like Echo, it was a, smooth for mind and comprehensive. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Charlene.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Now, what's being the closed session?
There's been a motion to go to closed session for the purpose of?
Under MCL 15.268, section 818, to consider the personnel evaluation of the city administrator.
Moved by, for the purpose, moved by Councilor, Myers, second by Councilor Watson, discussion. Roll call, please.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Watson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Briggs.
Yes.
Bring closed session. You go through the ring.
Is that an open session?
Back in open session, would anyone like to speak at public comment? Do you have anyone online?
We do have colors on. We have no further questions from Charlene, and she was just making sure we were.
Sure.
Thanks, Charlene. Thank you.
Thank you and have a, yep, thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone with their hands up.
Seeing no one, public comment is closed. Can I motion to adjourn, please, moved by Briggs Watson, discussion, all in favor, opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, thanks guys for the quick help on the